Right, we're live again on Facebook. Zoom calls running. Hang on a second. Right, we're live. That happened last time. Yes, so we were hoping, I was hoping for 3 people today, Peggy, Peter and Surya. So I'm still hoping Peggy just joined the group as of this morning, so we'll give it a few minutes. Want to make sure that she got the invitation. So seeing as Peggy just joined, Peter's joining, excellent. So if Peter's joining, we'll talk about what Peter wants to talk about. I was going to talk about connection to the water and sinking legs or sinking in the water or fear of the water. But we'll see what Peter has to say. Peter.
Hello.
Hi. You're live on Facebook, but no video. Are you okay to, do you want to go on video? Or would you
well, I was trying to get in via my PC and it wouldn't connect, so I'm now trying to do it via the phone. So if you bear with me, we'll try and work that out, go along.
No, I think we've got time. That's fine. Shall I just preamble while you're doing that?
Yeah, no, please do.
Okay. So I think, have you seen the previous one?
I haven't. This is my first foray into catching up with you.
Well, welcome to the group. Thanks for joining. I'm tempted not to ask you questions while you're trying to sort out your video because it might confuse you. So I think the purpose of these calls really is to have people like you in the group join and talk about your swimming, because essentially that's what I put this course, this program together, is to help people with their swimming. Why don't I make a start while you're...
Well, okay, I thought, why is it not start video? I'm pressing start video. I'm waiting for something to happen, so...
All right.
Allow Zoom, go to settings, come... Oh, okay, so I've now got to do it via somewhere else. Okay, bear with me, I can still see you and hear you. I'll try
I mean, there's no pressure to be on Zoom. You can stay without video. I'll just carry on talking, but I might as well attempt to just...
Well, I'm happy to answer, interact while I'm trying to sort it. Because
okay. Right, so you've why don't we make a start finding about you, because you're on the call. I might talk a little bit about why I've started this whole thing. I talked about that last week, but I'll target it specifically to probably the problems you're going through, to hopefully so you can relate, or hopefully so I can show that I can relate to whatever problems you're going through. So tell me, Peter, why did you, first of all, I guess you saw my adverts on YouTube?
Yeah, I've sort of looked at a number of ways of trying to, I'll call it improve my swimming, and nothing sort of seems to be working. So how do I put it? I mean, I can not drown, that's fine, but I'm not really enjoying it particularly, and I'm not finding it particularly easy. To be fair, sometimes I can swim and it's quite nice, and then sometimes it's really difficult, and I'm sort of I guess I'm stuck in the breaststroke probably more than anything else, and I'm trying to, like, front crawl and things, and I can do, if I put flippers on and I use a float, I can do all those sort of things. But when it comes to just literally me and the water, I think it's my breathing that tends to go out the window. That's
right.
The main thing that's gone wrong.
So when your breathing goes wrong, what's happening? Not in terms of your swimming, but more to do with your thinking. What sort of emotions or thoughts crop up?
Well, emotions, I suppose, are panic, if you like, because it doesn't seem to. So if I go back to sort of not being a particularly strong swimmer through my life, if I breaststroke effectively, when my head comes out of the water, I can breathe in, I can carry on, and then I'm out of the water and I breathe out and breathe in. So of course, with all the other strokes, I can't. I struggle to breathe out underwater, if you like. So I just can't. Sometimes it'll coordinate, and I can get a few strokes done, but I can't sort of put my finger on exactly what's causing it to sorry, I'm also trying to.
I know. I can tell. But
camera.
All right. So, what you said, you struggle to breathe out. Where does that struggle come from? What happens? And in fact, please don't feel compelled to do the video, because this is kind of work. It'd be nice to speak to you and see you face to face, but here we are. Oh, you're re-entering. Okay, so you might drop out and come back in again.
Right. I'm now here.
Yeah. Great, Peter. Oh, that's better, isn't it? I can see you now.
Exactly. So there we are. Right.
Fantastic. So this is something I hear from, in fact, I think I've heard it from all of my clients. And it always starts with that thought of, oh, it must be the breathing, it must be the breath. But I always think it's something a bit before that. But why don't I ask you some questions? And that's kind of how this whole thing works.
Sure.
I think I'm coaching a way of thinking about your swimming more.
I think that's what appealed to me, rather than everything's getting technical and people go, "Oh, get your arm up higher, or get this, or breathe here, or glide more." I'm going, you know what? You're giving me so many things to think about. I'll get 3 strokes in, and then I sort of like it all goes wrong again. So it was. Yeah. I think that's probably what appealed to me the most, was maybe there's a different way of thinking about it.
And I think there is, and I will digress. I might as well digress a little bit. It's nothing more I like better than talking about my struggles, to hopefully see that it relates. So my struggle was everything you talked about, and probably a bit more because I was swimming quite an awful lot. So it is that sense of showing that I've been there helps, hopefully, me be in a better position to relate to what you're going through.
Yes,
because every advice you'll get, I think, and certainly the advice that I got was from expert swimmers who never even thought that floating was difficult, or that, you know, sinking was an issue, sinking legs was an issue. It didn't occur to them because it never happened to them. So when you mentioned that you were never a really great swimmer, I think you said when you were younger.
Yeah, I can't really remember. Like, swimming's never been a big part of my life, to be honest. So it's only in later years that I'm going, right, well, I'm in the pool. Probably it's about time to get to the point where if I'm going to go there, or I'm going to go to the beach, or I'm going to do that, then actually I want to enjoy it, rather than find it's just a constant fight. And almost, I mean, terrified's a bit excessive, really. I mean, to be fair, it's only probably a month ago that I've learned to swim without a nose clip on. So I've always had to, because I was so terrified of breathing, I'd have a nose clip on permanently. So I've got that off now. And I suppose when I do panic, I just get my head out of the water and I sort of restabilize, and then I have another little go. It's just, I don't know. I can't really put my finger on what's not right, or why I'm not maybe making the progress I might have expected. If I get in a pool and I, listen to people and I follow the instruction book, surely by now I should be entering the Olympics and such like. And I'm not much beyond the 12-year-olds in the pool.
What does this conjure up for you? What emotions come up when you hear yourself saying that, and you're reflecting back on this?
Well, I suppose it's a two-way bit, really, because part of me just ends up wanting to burst out laughing, going, how can I possibly be getting so wound up about something as normal as swimming, if you like? And then part of me, and I could think to him, when I get in the water, it's just not unpleasant. It's just, I wish I knew quite what the right word was. I suppose it's stressful a bit about, and a little bit of it is, I don't want to be looked at by lots of other people going, oh, blimey, he's like splashing up and down in the water there. He's a bit rubbish. I'd like to just be able to. I don't want to swim fast. I just want to be able to swim. Really, I'm not taking up racing, but I would like to, be able to swim. Let's say 500 meters without like having to stop every 10 minutes or every 5 minutes and get out of the water and have a think about what I do next.
And where were you to achieve that kind of level or standard, what would that lead you to do next? Where would you take that?
Oh, well, I don't know really. I mean, I like the idea of outdoor swimming, and lake swimming, and there's a whole thing I think I've missed in my life, with the water. And it's just, I suppose, a bit more confidence in that. Actually, I guess I'm okay with it. But like I say, I can, if push comes to shove in the water, I'm not going to die. I'm not going to drown. I can breaststroke, for 4,000 meters if I had to. It's just not that. It's not that sort of efficient. So I suppose part of me is going, why it should be a skill that I ought to be able to do, and I don't like not being able to do something. I suppose is as much, is that's the thing as well.
Yeah. So there's an element of self-judgment as well as the judgment you might feel from others.
I think it's probably more self-judgment, but yeah, there's a two-way thing of people going, surely you can swim. Surely everyone can swim. Why can't you swim? And then I've got my own. I just, so I set myself, I want to set myself a goal of going. I want to be able to swim and be relaxed about it, rather than panicked about it, I suppose is the word I'm looking for.
Yeah, and you mentioned enjoying as well.
Well, if I don't enjoy it, there's really not a lot of point of.
Well, I mean, it's funny. A lot of people don't enjoy swimming, and they do it as I used to for the sake of, well, fitness or ego. Lengths, distance, times, lap times, personal bests, all that judgment, self-judgment. So, and part of my program is to give people. I've got a little module called Swim Happy.
Right.
Because most people don't actually. I've spoken to probably over 200 people now in the last 9 months since I've kind of started this, and everyone tells me what you're saying, pretty much, apart from the occasional triathlete or who just is so driven that they just want more. They want this. So what I want to get back to is this struggle to breathe out, because I actually think beneath that there's something more, which we'll get into next. But what happens in your front crawl during that breathing? You're struggling to get the breath out. What happened?
Well, so I mean, I've coached a number of sports, not swimming, obviously. So I'm definitely I suppose I'm a technique geek, if you like. So I look at the technique, and obviously. So it's heads in the water, which is fine, and then the breathing is sort of like turning the head to the side to breathe in, out in the water. The problem is I end up coming to the side, but then my head comes right up because I guess I'm scared of swallowing the water.
Right.
So then I'm all over, because by the time I'm up and then down, I got no rhythm or everything's just. I suppose it's having no rhythm. I guess. Don't know. It's difficult to sort of place into. So because I breathe in and out, not underwater,
right.
I'm not really breathing. So I guess what I'm trying to focus on, I don't breathe out underwater. I tend to hold my breath underwater, and then when I need to breathe, I get my head out of the water, breathe in, hold it, I come up and I go, and then I do the next one. But all the breathing is not under the water. So I am using the breaststroke to try and learn to breathe out underwater, because of course your head's, I'm not also turning to the side as well.
Yeah. It's more
there's too many functional things at the same time, really.
What is it that's stopping the breath coming out under the water? What is behind that?
No idea, really. Panic, I suppose, is that if I breathe out underwater. And it doesn't make, if I analyze it, it doesn't make any sense. It really doesn't, because I go, well, if I hold my breath, that's no different to having breathe out and then hold my breath. But when it actually comes to, I guess it's just like from 50 years of ingrained, I've only ever done it one way, which is sort of, it has been breaststroke. I think it's a difficult one to remember. I have a recollection that I had a bad experience swimming or in the sea as a child, and that did give me a level of I guess being scared of the water, which I've sort of overcome. But I've overcome it by making sure that my head's out the water when I need to breathe, and then goes in the water when I need to get a bit forward, and then when I need to breathe, I go right, and I go again. So that's probably about me.
So Peter, just talking about this, it's so interesting because so often I hear so many people I talk with about their swimming past. And for whether it's swimming or our own lives, swimming, our past, defines our present.
Oh yeah.
It shapes our present. Obviously, it's clear, how our parents raised us or what we went through. So,
yeah,
in my program and on this call, and you can do this later, but I do encourage my clients to reflect on that trauma. Now, you've kind of mentioned, used the words you've gotten over it, but it might be time, it might be worth. And I'm not a psychiatrist. What I am is an Alexander Technique teacher, which I must talk about in a minute. I must explain that. But what I can do is encourage people to reflect on what they've been through. I can be empathic. I won't be sympathetic, but I can be empathic to whatever the person presents me with. But I do want to give a sense of its encouragement for you to accept the limitations you've kind of gotten. But this fear, this panic, you said panic maybe 3 or 4 times on the call, and I'm terrified. So that's these aren't things to just be kind of laughed away or pushed away or be embarrassed about. Actually, I think maybe if you have time, and again, I'm not a psychiatrist or anything, but it might be worth journaling. Because there's a little section in the course where I just say, write down the experience or talk it through with someone, and you'd be surprised, as what happens on these calls with my clients. We're talking, and it's kind of, hopefully it's mostly me listening, but a little bit more of giving, but something pops up. So if maybe I might give you some homework, but if you have some time this weekend, just a moment of reflection, jot down that experience just to see if something percolates, bubbles.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you'll have had lots of advice about this breathing out, but I think you don't know quite yet why you're struggling to breathe out. I think you do know, it hasn't bubbled to the surface.
Yeah.
So it's a silly allegory, I think the word is. But there are a couple of little quick things to do. But I think beneath this, or before this breathing, how's your balance in the water? How's your connection to the water?
I mean, it's getting better because I guess it's the same as lots of things. If you go regularly, then you get an improvement. So, historically, if I might have, swum in the summer, which means that I've, as soon as I get started, I've got like 9 months of not being in the water to get over. I'm now going at least twice a week. I'm trying to go 3 times a week, literally, and I am trying to not focus too much apart from just, I want to say having fun's not quite the right thing, but to try and be a bit relaxed about it. Go, right, I've set myself 45 minutes in the pool, and I've got some floats, and I've got some flippers, and I've got some stuff, and I'll do, a little bit of back work, and I'm just going, I just need to not be frightened of the water, if you like. So, and the more exposure I've got to the water, I'm working on the principle that I'll be less frightened of it. So, and it's, whether I think there'll be some osmosis level of improvement just because I do, I'm not sure, but I'm certainly working on the principle. If I can get over the, how would I put it? I used to be self-conscious if I went to a swimming pool.
Right.
That's literally even walking up to the water. And not that anybody would even noticing me, it's just I would feel self-conscious because I didn't feel that I deserved to be there, if not.
Right.
And I'm sort of getting over that now. I'm in the pool and I'm okay. And I climb in and I put my stuff down and I swim up and down. And okay, maybe it's not effective and maybe it's more breaststroke and maybe it's some, but at least I'm in the water and I'm, so that's my first thing is to make sure I'm regularly in the water.
Right.
And then go from there.
And what's the first thing you do then? You've got yourself in the water, and actually, I would say that feeling of being watched and self-conscious, that is universal. I mean, I still have that, and I'm quite chuffed with my swimming nowadays, you know.
Yeah, sure.
But and I can't stand it with lifeguards. I'm sure they're watching me. And
They're definitely watching me. They're sitting there quietly
well,
going, "What is he doing in the?"
no, well, honestly, I do a very I do a slow butterfly. I think it's graceful. I certainly it feels graceful. It's not like anything most people see. You know, the idea of butterflies. Some big muscly guy gets in, does a
Yeah.
huge, powerful length. They look amazing. They're built, their muscles, and then they're done, aren't they? But that's butterfly.
Yeah.
Mine's not like that. Mine's kind of slow and smooth, hopefully. And it goes against all the rules, but that's the point. But so then I'm self-conscious. So again, it's not about me, but hopefully the anecdotes or the stories I say give, it's not you. And actually, probably of all the couple of hundred people I've spoken to now, they all have this feeling, but it's not something to be dismissed. It's real. Everyone feels this.
Oh yeah.
But my question is, I think it was, what do you do? What's the first thing you do when you go into the water, you step in the thing?
I would do probably, and again, probably not in a hurry, but 3 or 4 lengths of breaststroke, literally, because that's my go-to. So I do that, and I then feel like I'm in the water, you know, body's moving, arms and legs are moving, and then I would go to, and then it's a combination. I'll either use a float, or I'll use flippers, or I tend to use flippers to try and keep my legs up, because I do have sort of like a thinking leg thing. So because my brain has always coordinated breaststroke, if I get tired, I forget to use my legs, and if I forget to use my legs, then I think, which means I get more tired. You know, so it's a catch-22. So I try to use drills that encourage me to be longer in the water, and I just get used to using my legs all the time.
Okay. I interrupted you there a little bit. Only because I'm so keen.
I mean, that's what I do. And then I do a little bit of, so I'll swim on my side. So I do all of the drills out the book, which, you know, supposedly in previous swimming is what I don't have to start with, is the swimming in the first place, which is a bit bizarre.
All right. So I've got some, I'm so keen to jump in and help. I want to make sure I don't overdo things. I've got a few points which I can kind of give, but I do actually want to get back to the phrase which came out after 20 minutes talking, which was, "You're frightened of the water." And you use words like it is, I think, I don't like to make broad statements, but I think it's impossible to swim with a fear of the water.
Yeah.
And I actually, again, this isn't promoting anything, but my first 4 weeks of my program is to develop a connection to the water, an understanding of the water. So you're using the water to support you. You're not swimming to stay afloat.
Okay.
Now, your first thing to do in the water it's nice, you know, you're getting in breaststroke, because you're not going straight into crawl and getting frustrated. You're doing a step. You swim. I'm guessing you're in lane swimming.
So yeah, we got a bit of a broken line there. Yeah, so basically it's a lane swimming pool. So,
which is difficult. So lane swimming, I call it pain swimming, because of that mental anguish. You know, I'm trying to keep up with the guy in front. There's someone behind me trying to overtake. It's all pressure. You're trying to keep up with the flow. And then essentially you're just swimming length after length, and there's no joy. There's no peace. There's no being in the water. You're just constantly doing.
Yeah.
And if you can find, so my first point, I think, for you, for everyone, I always say this to all my clients, essentially I'm coaching float, glide, swim.
So I'm just making notes, if that's all right.
Yeah, well, I mean, actually, this is recorded.
Okay.
Hopefully. It is live, and Facebook is supposed to record it, and I have forgotten to record it again.
Right.
But it did record it and go straight to live. But float, glide, swim, floating, it's a bit more than, there's a bit more to floating than floating is, so to speak, but it's your connection to the water. So at the moment you're getting in, right, I'm going to go for a swim. Actually, what I'd like you to do is get in the water and be in the water.
Okay.
Now we're all used to floating, and it's not as easy as a lot of us think. You know, we think, oh, we'll just lie back. Your legs will probably sink. And it's in that floating that's where your connection starts. And actually, it's more to do with balance. So floating is a passive thing, or static thing, I should say.
Yeah.
Because the idea of floating is that we're supposed to be this Zen-like creature, very still in the water, completely buoyant and balanced.
Yeah.
But the balance is active floating. It's dynamic floating.
Yeah.
And it's a relationship with the water. So that's why I use the word balance more than floating. Floating's got all these connotations that we have to be still and the people on the Google images. But if you think about it as balance, you're in control of your balance. It's you're making the little adjustments, the changes to your breathing, the changes to your. I have a concept called tone awareness, which will make sense when we speak a bit more. And it came from a call with a client, a series of calls with a client. He was an open water swimmer in a wetsuit. And he would get out of his triathlon, he was doing a race, anxious and scared, because his wetsuit was keeping him afloat. So
I understand that entirely.
He's due to renew, so he's done 4 lots, then another 4 lots. Then he started on the third 4 lots of coaching because he'd like to do it 4 weeks time. I got him out of his wetsuit into the pool to work on his floating and then his balance. And now we've taken the float glide, and now he's on the glide, and now he's on the 9 weeks. We're talking about the swimming now, because you're getting into pool and you're going, right, I'm going to swim.
Yeah.
And it's like you've been out of the pool for like 9 months, and then there's that gap. You go skiing, you've been amazing skiing last season, you go this season, it's all gone to hell.
Yeah.
But every swim is that. Every time you're out of the pool, you need a moment to connect.
Yeah, it's funny. I will relate a story to you because I was out supporting a friend of mine who did an Ironman in Austria last year. Wow. And it got so warm that they cancelled the wetsuit swim, and hundreds of people dropped out. They went, I can't swim without a wetsuit on.
Oh,
literally,
they should come to me.
Literally, they got all the way to Austria and then refused to do the event they trained a year for because they couldn't swim without a wetsuit on. So it's funny you should say that. Yeah.
That's
because they couldn't.
Contact.
They're just terrified of being, in a swimming costume rather than a wetsuit, because the wetsuit keeps you afloat.
Absolutely, and it's great, but it's like your floats and it's like your flippers and your nose clip. I mean, a nose clip, I won't, and there's no judgment here, but they are band-aids to the problem.
Yeah, so I will relate to that. So about the age of 20-ish, I broke my nose in an accident, and it gave me some trouble breathing. So and you're right, it was a crutch, and it was a crutch for 30 years, and it's now not a crutch, but that's taken me a long time, because that's the first thing I ever did is I can't swim unless I've got a nose clip on because I can't breathe.
Right.
But actually,
how did you get over that? You've done very well. I mean, again, there was no judgment implied there, I think. So.
I don't know. I know, and I don't know. I was with a friend of mine, and in the end, I think I was halfway through a session, and I lost. I don't know where it ever went, but all of a sudden I realised that either it had come off or I just swum 2 lengths, and I didn't have. And I went, "Hang on, I'm swimming. I haven't got a nose clip on."
Wow.
So it wasn't. I didn't go right. I am now going to swim without one. It just happened, and then I went, "Well, I just have." And then from there on in, I go, "Well, I don't even own a nose clip."
That sounds just like when you take. I mean, my son has started on a balance bike, but when I was a kid, I was on stabilizers, and then there's that moment when you take stabilizers off, and he's holding your saddle, and then you look around, he's not there. That's exactly that moment.
Yeah.
All right.
Anyway, sorry, I interrupted.
No, not. I mean, this is your call. It's your call. I actually try. I do my best not to jump in too much, but if you can find a spot or a slow lane, the slow lanes are the best thing. If you can get into a slow lane, I always swim in slow lanes.
Me too.
Because the amount of judgment in the other lanes is is high. I won't say it's overwhelming, but it affects me. So if I go into the slow lane, now do you go in the slow lane anyway, or do you go in?
I mean, normally, yes. If I do sort of swim with a friend of mine, and she's a very good swimmer, so she would normally go in the fast lane. So if it's busy and there's only like her in the fast lane, then I go in the fast lane.
Right.
Because I let her go past and she knows that, and then I just sort of keep out of her way, but there's somewhere I can swim. I'd rather swim with her in the fast lane than with somebody else in a slow lane. But I must admit, I'm normally quite lucky because there is, well, 5, 6 lanes. There's also 2 pools where I go that I can find. I very rarely have to swim in a lane with someone I don't know. So I appreciate I'm really lucky with that. And I'll probably go tonight and there'll be hundreds of people there. And I won't get in, but in principle, I'm able to sort of find my own space. So,
all right. Well, having said all of that, I do think, and I still do it, after, and I've gone from the journey of struggling and hating swimming, resenting it, to unlearning all my old habits and discovering these fundamentals that we're missing. And one of the first fundamentals is this connection to the water.
Okay.
So for me, get in the water, however you do it, because you're in the water, you don't have that initial fear.
Yeah.
But don't swim.
Right. Okay.
Don't swim. For a start, I would say there's a typical, you can find this on YouTube. You can do some breathing underwater exercise. And I don't give exercises in my work. It's all experiments. But the simple act of blowing bubbles under the water with your head is something on YouTube. And then we could talk about it now, but that's something worth doing because
I can look it up. Yeah,
there's so much going on with crawl, and there is a way to slow that down. There is a way to give you that thinking time and space.
I guess, yeah. The other thing that because when I watch, I suppose that with all these things is you tend to watch it on the television, don't you? And of course, front crawl is just this super fast. Everyone is going flat out. So you get in a pool, and I go, well, I've got to go super fast, flat out, and then I can't. So. And I do struggle with sort of like going, well, you don't have to go quick, just go slow. But I tend to think of it as mentally, it's like, oh my God, it's like, how fast can I pedal my arms there and create lots of splashing? Because that's what I see on telly.
They're a bad role model for you. Life is all about role models. You know that. You live your life. So TV, I always say YouTube videos aren't always that helpful because it's always some fit, young, normally good looking, normally a bloke, or there's some very attractive ladies doing it now as well. But they're not me and they're not you. And I feel that sense of trying to swim like them is limiting. So
I mean, I know it mentally, unfortunately, even if I know it mentally, it's still the picture that you end up with in your brain that I'm trying to
there are some from. I don't actually post in anywhere in my content on the Facebook page pictures of me swimming, right? But I do talk about graceful swimming. I do talk about swimming with joy and swim happy idea. And it's a slow, strong, powerful, easy stroke, whether that's breaststroke, butterfly, or front. Because I think the words are enough, but also because if I post videos of me, you're gonna, well, what's gonna happen when you see me swim? You're going to what?
Well, I'll end up trying to copy whatever it is you're doing. So
I'm just another stimulus. I'm just another input to your trying to swim like someone else. And there's the other reason is there are enough videos of swimming in the world.
Yeah, sure.
So be mindful of those role models. There are some slower swimmers online. There are some certain sites, but again, these are very good swimmers. And they would tell you, I saw one the other day, he was saying how butterfly, you can't swim butterfly slowly. Well, no, you can. It's simply timing and balance. But for you, the couple of points we're saying, you can do some breathing out underwater. Now there's a couple of, I might just add a little bit in. Your first bet would be to submerge yourself going downwards in the water. Right. Because fear is going to be putting your face in, face in. So if you blow with your up to here, blowing out.
Go a bit
lower. And if you do get to the kind of lip level, you want to be blowing out as the water.
Underwater, yeah.
So you don't swallow.
Yeah.
But I said, let's just check. Did you see the webinar that I recorded actually last year? That's part of the email sequence, because you've been part of the email sequence for a while.
No, I mean, I sort of signed up, and then it's taken me a bit of time to sort of actually get to speak to you, or go. So it's now I'm sort of trying to, I've sort of got over that mental hurdle of going, okay, well, what can I do about it? So no, I haven't, to be honest.
All right.
I need to go.
I
back
only mentioned
some of them.
Yeah, well, I'll send you. I might put the link. I might edit it so it's a bit shorter, because there's a load of blurb at the end of it about signing up for a call. But the point is that I talk about your out breath, because all your lessons and all your technique will be saying. I say a couple of things about the out breath. Is one, your out breath is much more important than the in breath, and it's much longer than you realize. So if you were to do one of the exercises, either in the course or just here, you can just breathe out, and you can hum as you breathe out, whether that's in the water or out of the water.
Yeah.
And you'll be amazed at how long that out breath really is. So whenever you do a breathing exercise, and I don't like using words exercise, don't set exercises, but when you do an experiment with your breathing out,
yeah.
Right, that's how long the out breath was. And then what happened as soon as it finished?
Well, you need to go. And
that breath happened, didn't it?
Yeah.
So imagine how many strokes that was.
Yeah.
It was probably about 6. Well, actually, because I take really long, slow breath, it was probably about 3. But the point is, my breathing determines my stroke.
Okay, yeah, makes
I'm not
sense.
doing 3 strokes and then breathing, because that was 3 strokes. I'm not ready.
Yeah.
So what the first step here, way back, is you're scared of the water. And to get that fear gone, you're not going to push through, you're not going to battle against it, you're not going to do practicing. Hopefully you won't use floats and flippers, because they will mask things, or a wetsuit. But get in the water and start floating.
Okay.
Start connecting. And there's something I call the floating. I used to call it floating position, but actually, I think it's more of floating shape or relationship, because this idea of positions is all fixed. It's all very set.
Yeah.
You will have somewhere in your locker a relationship with water, a shape in the water. I mean, we could call it position, but it won't be static. You will have a formation of your arms and legs and your head that will allow you to float.
Yeah.
But then you'll also need to do something that will allow you to float a bit longer. And I won't tell you that. We'll have another call.
Yeah.
So I want to give you a couple of, rather just back and forth, I want to give you some takeaways. So yes, that acknowledgement, you're quite right. Everyone feels they're being watched in the pool or going into the pool.
Yeah.
That's everyone does that. Everyone has problems with breathing. I say everyone I speak to. So float, glide, swim. Start your swim off with floating.
Okay.
We'll come on to the balance. We'll come on to the glide later. The balance and the glide flow movement. But for now, it's experiment with people.
Okay.
You do. If you ever do face down floating, have a quick word, because if you're almost, the internet's gone. Can you still hear me?
Yeah. I got you.
If you are face down floating, you might think that they think that you're drowning.
Yes.
So just say you're playing around, and you will feel self-conscious. I still do. You will feel silly, but it's the go-to. Okay, that's fair. We won't conquer your fear. We'll just change your thinking so the fear goes. And as terms of the breathing, yes, the out breath is important, much more important than the in breath. And a longer out breath means that tells you when you need to take that breath, how many strokes. It's your swimming, swim your way. Okay, well, I'll certainly have a go at it. Because at the moment, you're swimming all these swimming rules. Breathe every 3 strokes, kick with your legs, do this, angle here, this position, hands like this. They're all details. Whereas I'm hopefully encouraging you to think differently so that your understanding changes. We will change your technique a little bit, because this whole side breathing thing, it doesn't have to be. You can actually just completely rotate in the water, and your whole face can be looking upwards to the ceiling with your head balanced in the water, and it's a lovely way to swim.
Okay.
But that's for another time.
Okay.
So,
well, let me concentrate on some floating then first, and active dynamic floating.
And notice, well, dynamic flow will come on to the next call, because I've thrown that in. That's one of my terms, but I have to explain it a little bit. But see what happens. You will sink. Your legs will sink. But find out what helps. That's the thing.
Okay.
And I go into more detail on the course, and there's the online course, or there's the coaching course. But the point is, and I can't go into it in detail here now, but
well, that's fair enough.
But that is your starting point.
Okay.
And then in future, you'll go from floating and be like, oh, this is really different. And then we'll do gliding. And the swimming is then just movement, transfer of weight.
Okay.
At the moment, your swimming is right. I must.
Yeah, that's very true. That's what it is.
So why don't we just do a quick recap? What have you got out, if anything? I don't want to put words into your mouth. Have you got anything out of this session?
Yeah. I think it's stop trying to swim, to be honest, if I could paraphrase it all, and stop all that panicking stuff and go back to getting some sort of connection with the water, and just muck around almost, just go floating, breathe that underwater and see what happens. To be honest, I've got nothing to lose with that, and stop worrying about everybody else. Yeah,
I mean, that some of that's going to be difficult, because stop worrying about everyone else.
Well, but I mean, at the end of the day, I just, if I can concentrate on what I'm doing, then that allows less time to be worried about other people. It's more a case of making sure that effectively I've got, there's a different pool as well, which isn't laned, which for floating and gliding, it might be best to just go in that pool, because I haven't got people trying to swim up and down.
And maybe, I don't know your relationship with your friend, but good swimmers are not helpful.
I think she's definitely trying to give me tips on this or that, and she says whatever I can do to help. So, but she doesn't have the experience or as a coach, because she just can. So yes, she's giving me all the tips that work for her, and that's fine, and I really appreciate that. And she's always there to help and make sure I'm okay, which is good. So I'm not sort of, I'm not in. I don't have to be in the water on my own, if you like. But maybe I need to be in there on my own and go, you know what, stop putting a crutch on somebody else to be watching me and expecting them to tell me stuff, and just I'll go back to this. I like this idea of getting some connection with the water. So
I like the idea. You use the word playfulness. It's a really nice word, because the thing about good swimmers is that they will give you lots of hints and tips, and they're the detail that you need over there. So if you think of float, glide, swim, then detail.
Yeah, when I get to swim, I'll worry about that.
Honestly, I spent probably decades listening to people going, you must do this, or you must do this, or you must do this, or you must do this, and until I learned about my connection to the water, that was the first thing. Now, in terms, just one final thing, a couple of words I don't use. I never use should. Should is the word of shame.
Okay.
I never use the word just, because that undermines everything that is a big deal.
Okay, yeah, fair enough.
I'm not telling you off. This is just my approach, because it's the words that we use that inform us. The words are the important thing here. The other thing is concentrate. Now, I studied something called the Alexander technique, which Google it, and it won't be what it says online, but really it's a different way of thinking about things. It adds essentially the present moment into your swimming, or an awareness. So concentrating, focusing, trying hard is this narrowing of our awareness.
Yeah.
And you've been doing it all your life, and I was doing it all my life before I became a teacher, in the way that I teach. concentration focusing is limiting and narrowing. So when you are floating, you'll go from, you might be daydreaming and then drift off and end up halfway across the pool, which isn't, it's nice, but it's not helpful. Or you'll be concentrating going, oh, but listen, I'm already tense because I'm concentrating, I'm trying hard, my muscles are tense. And I think I mentioned tone awareness at the start of the call, and I kind of digressed and I forgot, but that tone awareness is your conscious awareness of how tense you are in the water. And that conscious awareness, we call it conscious control.
All right.
That is the Alexander technique. So instead of concentrating, trying hard, or instead of daydreaming, which are one extreme to the other, when you are doing these experiments, or anything I'm talking about, your priority, your job, Peter.
Okay.
I'm not pointing. Well, I'm pointing in a jest, but your role here is to notice, is to pay attention to things.
Okay.
And in the course, and when I do the coaching calls, I talk about two things: awareness, which is everything around you.
Yeah.
And attention, which is what you're paying attention to, noticing within your awareness.
Okay. Yeah.
So when I'll leave it here now, because we kind of recapped a bit. I've talked about AT, which is why I put this whole thing together. It's much misunderstood. But my final word is, when you're next on your phone, scrolling through your emails, or God, I still do it. My Facebook feed, because I'm on Facebook because of this course.
Yeah.
I look up, oh, I've just lost. Where did I go? Where did my awareness go? And what happened to my attention?
Sure.
It was all consumed by this phone, or my hand in this case, and my awareness had shrunk. That's what happens when we concentrate and focus. So I wasn't conscious. I had no conscious control. Now, fortunately, my training helps with this. And swimming, oh, I'm trying hard. I'm concentrating. I've got all these rules. I've lost that awareness, and my attention has shrunk.
Okay. Yeah, no, I get that.
To notice more.
Okay. Well, let me get started on that one.
That's just a little drop.
Yeah. Okay, I get that. Well, I've got
it does require. Yeah, it's much more of a long-term thing that I talk about with my clients. But has that been helpful?
Yeah, I think so. I will get in the water later today and do some floating, and we'll work from there. What's the best thing? Shall I just message you back again, and we'll?
Yeah, drop me a message. You can put it in the group, because the group's not very active.
Okay.
And nobody says anything, so maybe we can get a bit more of a.
Okay. I'll put something in there.
Drop me an email. Drop me an email. You're on my emailing list.
Okay.
I'll make sure you can see the webinar, because at least there's some more concepts that you can
okay, no, that'll be useful.
And yeah, so I am on LinkedIn. There is a YouTube channel. There's this Facebook group. Yeah, hopefully somewhere in there's stuff that will help.
I'm sure there will be. Let me get on with that. I'll message it back into the group here, and we'll take it from there.
All right. This video will appear in a couple of hours, because Facebook takes a while to process.
Yeah, sure. Okay.
Drop any comments under that post.
Okay, I will do.
Then it'll tie in.
Okay, I'll do my best.
Excellent. I hopefully I enjoyed that. I hope you did too, and hopefully it was of use. And then I'll be doing this every week. I'm going to ask people to tell me what times works, because if no one's turning up, then it's not a good time.
Yeah, because I got a bit confused. So where are you in the world?
Oh, sorry. Yes, I'm in Greenford, of all places, which is west of Ealing, which is west of London.
Oh, okay. So you're just up the road then. That's fine.
Oh, really?
Because I couldn't work out whether, to be honest, I didn't know which country you were in. So then,
I don't even think to mention that sort of stuff.
I do some meetings, and then of course they come in and it's like, oh, it's 10 o'clock, but it's 10 o'clock Central European time. And then of course that's like 6 o'clock in the evening. And I was looking at that going, have I got this wrong? Is it actually tonight? Was it 11 o'clock like US time or something? So I had no idea where you were in the country.
I'm sorry, I need to mention that in my emails or my correspondence. Just, it never occurs to me. And in fact, I do some coaching calls, and again, they're US based. So
Yeah,
So
yeah.
yes, and there is a bit of a story behind why I put this out, and there are emails, and maybe I just need to explain a little bit more. I think there's an email coming out soon that's going to explain the why behind it all, because again, that's not something I really went into.
Yeah, sure.
But yeah, all right, fantastic. Well, I may see you on the next call. And
you will do. Okay. So is it every at the moment it's sort of every I don't know what's that, Wednesday at 11:30?
Yeah, 11:30. But
okay.
Again, if no one can make it, and again, I need the people in the group to post
Sure.
Feedback, because I don't know. I mean, I quite like doing it.
Well,
this time works for me.
As long as I'm not a Facebook guru, but I will work out how to post some feedback based on my next couple of times in the pool.
Cool.
All right.
Well, take care.
Speak to you soon. Okay.
Thanks
bye for now.
Thanks, Peter. Bye.